There you see her all together. Just provides an extra ½ inch of thickness. Our walls are 1.5 inches thick. This gives it 2 inches. All right. All right, 2-pound puppies. Insulation is in. Really wasn't as messy as I thought it was going to be. The new blade made it cut pretty decent. I did recess out where the wiring is going to go. As you can see, there's your control panel in place. I did jumper that first wire right there over to the center terminal, so this switch will operate all 3 of those. We can shut them off. We don't want anything consuming power out of the battery. Alright, next step, I'm going to throw some wiring at this thing. Everything here is a power circuit except for one black wire, which is your main ground going into that box, that sub panel there. Everything else is 1 power in and 5 circuits out, just the power side. We split them off right there. We send the powers up the roof. Those will be glued into each spar so that they don't move. And then those, except for the power going to that circuit panel and the power going to the rear switches, are all grounds also. I'm going to run them grounds into our tongue mounted box and into a stud that the battery will hook to, fused of course. Yep, not hard. Just remember, 12 volt DC circuit is like a river. It flows one direction. Powers go one way. It's not like 120 volt where you get the back and forth oscillating current. You just got one direction. So just remember, when you're wiring it, it powers to ground, one direction. Alright guys, I'm going to keep plucking away at this. I want to get the roof on and the skin on so we can wrap up this build video. I'm going to finish the wiring and get the outer layer of plywood on the front wall there and the roof before we start on that back galley wall inside. Time to go fishing, guys. In case you wondered how we're going to get that wire for our exterior light from inside the roof there to out here, well, we're going to go fishing. We got a hard piece of mechanics wire right there, taped to the wire we're going to use for this light. Just kind of give yourself a little curve on the end, kind of bend it this way as you're pushing it in, and tap, 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 and pretty soon you'll feel it. Looky there, she came up. Gently pull and curve. Yes, that was gently. And there you go. You just fished your wire. From there to there. We'll pack that with some expanding foam to hold her down. And this light is ready to be wired in. Alright gang, here's a thing where we could do this one of two ways. If I was gonna use poor man's fiberglass on this, or just finish it and paint it or stain it, most likely I would cut a wedge piece of wood and fill this triangle here that's open and this one here that's open, so these two corners have just a little more support. There's not any room there but to move at all, but I would do it if I was gonna actually, if this was gonna be our top layer. We're doing aluminum over this, and when I lay my aluminum, I'm gonna put it in a metal brake over there, and I'm gonna bend it here and here. I'm not gonna cut it there, so there's not gonna be a piece of seam, open seam here in the skin, or an open seam here. So that's gonna be plenty strong enough for anything, and that's never gonna move underneath it. So let me get this nailed in place. Pretty decent fit up, and we'll go from there. Remember your wiring, if you're doing it like I'm doing it. Do a testy to see if they move it. Yes, I don't think it would. There's only actually about ½ inch, 3/4 inch that's not backered, covered with a backer board. So we'll be fine. We'll be fine, I'm telling you. Yes, fine. Like I said, that aluminum skin will be one piece from about here to about the ceiling fan lip. So, and then our stone guard will go from there down. So it'll be solid and sealed and seam tight. I'm going to put a layer of construction adhesive across there and there too. Need the wife here. She's a way better caulker than I am. I'm not being funny. She can really beat a caulk. Me, I just make a mess. That's alright. Wipes up. To install these puck lights in the roof of the camper, so I'm going to drill them out using a hole saw. A 2 1/4. That's exactly what this requires, a 2 1/4 hole. It also works good on our through wall camp plug. Get them at Harbor Freight, Lowe's, anywhere. Also have step bits. We're getting ready to get into the aluminum skin next. So I'll start a couple holes with those and then cut like the door openings, window openings, the actual edge of it with my jigsaw and a fine tooth metal blade. You can use a router if you have one. You can put your skin up, clamp it into place, and then router out the edges with a guide bit. I'm going to mark my aluminum skin and cut it on the bench and then put it up once it's all cut. It's just easier for one man to do it that way. Let's get these puck lights in. We'll get 6 holes drilled. Connect the wiring on this roof here. Since we can't access our wiring once the skin is on, I am going to run the wires back in one piece, run them to each light, and jump from light to light to light to light to light to light in a series. That way I'll also leave enough wire that if there's ever a problem, you can pull the light down about a foot and we'll tuck the wire up in there. But that way the only connections we have are at the light. There won't be 6 wires running into 2 wires spliced somewhere up in the roof. This way, if there's ever a problem, it's most likely going to be here. And if one of these ever goes bad down the road, you can always just cut it and change it out that way. All right, let's get started. Doesn't take much to go through that roof. Drill from the inside if you can remember to. Going from the top down, you may splinter and crack your roof. You know, these have about a 1/4 inch around the edge. It's not much to hide a mistake if you make one. You never put these in, they're pretty awesome. We've got a spring retaining clip. There's a lot of tension there. What you're going to do is tuck them babies up in, bump, and they are in. That's awesome. Not too shabby looking either. Let's get them other 2 in and we'll get up top and connect the wiring. Again, you can see the wiring laid down in the track to all the puck lights. Basically, just ran them in a series. Remember, on 12 volt, power runs one way, just like a river, finds its way to ground. Hooked up some temporary power to check and make sure before we put the final wood layer on. We got power to everything. Everything is working. We're good. Did wire in a temporary switch to our galley puck lights back here. That'll go in the bulkhead wall right here, next to the USB port for the rear. And the 120 outlet, that'll go back there also. Went ahead and laid a bead of Sikabond all around the wood on the edges, on the corners. I'm going to go wait for that to dry. I'm going to scuff it down and then I'm going to roll on a clear polyurethane sealer on all the corners and all the seams. I know this video wasn't very exciting. Just wiring, insulation, and this outer roof skin. It's kind of a cool pattern. If I was going to stain it, that would be kind of neat, huh? But you know, we're going with aluminum skin, aluminum corner molding. We're going to use insert corner molding black and either a gray or red aluminum powder coat panel for the sides. I already have a gray sheet. I think I'm just going to go ahead and use on the roof just to save a little money since it's sitting over in the corner. There you go. You see all the outer layer laid on. Once again, sorry, I know this content wasn't the best on this one. A rundown on the aluminum sheeting I use on my teardrops and square drops. I get it from a buddy of mine out of Toledo. He runs a speed shop, one-stop speed shop. Hey Mike, that's just a little shout out, buddy. Hope your holidays are going good. Anyway, back to this. This sheet right here has been in my shop for over a year. It's been moved several times. We're going to use it on the roof because I have it. I'm going to actually use the light gray side up, kind of deflect some heat. It's powder coated on both sides. Comes in a 4x10 sheet. I just want to kind of give a testament to the shipping plastic they put on these babies and the protection it gives them. Like I said, this thing's been kicked, beat, fell over a few times, bumped into with cars and everything else. You peel this coating off. It's on both sides of this panel. You can get it bare aluminum or several colors they offer. They're from All Star Steel. Look them up online. You will have to find a distributor to sell it, like a sign shop or a speed shop or a circle track race shop. You know, any kind of place like that will cover it for you. If you talk to them, they may let you order 4 or 5 sheets. Otherwise, there's a minimum and they charge you for delivery. It's not cheap. It used to be $70 a sheet before COVID. Now it's about $125 a sheet, which is still not bad for skinning your aluminum trailer. I mean, or your trailer walls. Yeah. I mean, there's several ways you could do poor man's fiberglass. Like I said, stain it, seal it. Those have quite a bit of maintenance down the road. This aluminum skin is kind of a one and done. But anyway, back to this protective coating. Look at that. And a mark on this. That is just amazing what that plastic does to protect this. So if you're looking to skin your trailer in aluminum, look up a speed shop, look up a sign shop, make friends with them, see what they can do. Like I said, this is a 4x10. I wish it came in 5x10. 4x10 means we're going to cut it down the center and have 2 4x5 pieces. Remember, the roof is 8 foot long, 5 foot wide. We will have a seam right at the roof vent, so we're going to protect it and overlap it right there a little bit. Last time I did one, I used panel bond, which is an automotive metal on metal bonding agent, and we let it set for 3 days, took it apart, pried and could not get that bond to break between those 2 pieces of aluminum. We did scuff it up and everything, like it said on the package. But if you are using aluminum and you're worried about water intrusion, overlap it a little bit or put a good sealer under it. We're going to use butyl tape too on the trim edging. Gang, I flipped it over. We're going to cut this. One of those thin Harbor Freight blades I was telling you about for thin metal. Fine tooth, 64 tooth an inch I think it is. Cheap. Cuts fine. Laid the tape down. Even though this is powder coated, I still laid the tape down even though it's the back side. Just don't need to scratch it if we don't have to. Guys, you're going to see me cut the sides the same way with the saber saw. You could use a router, like I've said before in the past, and some people will. I'm a one-man shop, so I just clamp my side up on the side of the trailer, mark it out from the inside, lay it down, flip it over, cut it along the marks, drill a couple holes, starter holes, and go to town. It's just something I've gotten used to doing. It's quick for me. Occasionally, on my vintage style rounded teardrops, I'll use the router and follow the curve. It's a little easier than, you know, cutting with a saw. You keep a straighter edge that way. But do whatever's comfortable for you guys. You do want to make sure to support both sides of this when you're cutting it. Although there's hardly any kickback. That's simple, guys. All right, let's get these up on the roof. Like I said earlier, this will have a seam in the middle right by the roof vent fan. We will overlap them a little bit because the front piece will come up and overlap on the front too as well, and there will be a seam there. We will use panel bond 3M adhesive between the two. It's for car fenders and stuff. It's how pretty much all the new cars are constructed nowadays. The welder is a thing of the past on those things. I've used it on a couple of hot rod repairs, hot rod builds, and it works. That panel bond stuff is amazing. You scuff up the surface, the two mating surfaces, mix up your content, smear it on there, put it down, put a little pressure on it to hold it in place. We did a test on one of these first before we did it, and I took an air chisel and hammer to get those two apart after the glue dried. Good stuff. So it's just another option you can use if you're going to do aluminum skin and you want to protect it from moisture intrusion. Just overlap your metal a couple inches and panel bond them together. Then we'll also, of course, put a trim piece across there with butyl tape under that and stainless screws and insert molding on top to keep some of the water out and seal it that way. They're not really thick, super thin. I think this is 063 wall, I'm not sure. Something like that. It's on their website. All Steel is the manufacturer. They come powder coated or bare steel or polished. You can get them also powder coated on both sides. This is the dark gray I used on a couple other builds. This light gray we're going to put up on the roof of this one to kind of deflect some of the sun. Yeah, this stuff cuts real easy, guys. Cut the roof out. You can see that dent right there that was in this from it sitting in the shop for a year. Won't notice it. The trim will cover most of that. You can see the seam right there where we sealed it with the panel bond, 3M panel bond. I did put some weight on that, let it sit overnight. She's good and tight. I did put just a couple brad nails along the edge where you have about 1.25 inches where your trim will overlap that. You don't want to go in past that, of course, because you'll have a visible brad nail and a leak. Cut the roof vent out. There she is. That front lip there will get a piece overlapped again coming up from the front of the trailer. It'll be red. The sides will be red. It looks like red is the more popular color between the gray and the red. I did do this in the light gray because I had it laying around. And it'll reflect some sun. I am deadly afraid of heights. I am on a 15-foot ladder. Make fun of me if you want, but you're not going to get much roof video from me up in the air, guys. Hang tight. We'll get to the next step. Hey guys, forgot to tell you, before I laid this aluminum down, I did roll on 2 coats of Spar's urethane clear wood protectant and let it dry. You can see some of it ran down the sides right there. So I rolled it in. I will go ahead and go around all the edges and corners with it as well. But we got it on there just so we could get that aluminum skin on. She's coming along nice. We got a couple pieces of trim molding here. This is called insert trim molding for obvious reasons. There's the insert that you pinch and you slide in here after you put your butyl tape on the back side. Put her in place. Some people don't drill holes, they use self-tapping screws. I've found out that the self-tapping screws will actually grab the aluminum skin or the filon and pull it and create a lift point right there. And after you get back and you take a couple steps back, you'll see all the way down the side. So what I do is, the stainless screws I use are slightly smaller than this hole. This is a 3/16 hole, I believe. I put a drill bit in there. I lay this, after I get the butyl tape on the flat area, I lay it down and I drill my holes through the aluminum skin, not into the wood, just through the aluminum skin. My screw will go in there. That'll give you just a little bit of play for that aluminum skin to stretch and retract in the heat and the cold, and it will also not pull up that aluminum skin as you tighten that screw and cause a wave in here on the roof. Down the road when we install these, you'll see what I mean. I just wanted to show you your 2 types of trim we'll be using on this build. It's aluminum, bends super easy, cuts super easy. You can see I cut this one with regular tin snips. I usually use either a cutoff wheel or my fine tooth saber saw with that to cut them. Let's go put a couple pieces up on the roof of this to give it contrast with that gray to kind of show you how it looks. Alright gang, we're up on the roof. As you can see, the flat molding is for when you're going against 2 surfaces like that and you want to overlap them and run your molding the length of the roof of the camper on that seam. your corner molding, and you can get these in different widths and different legs. That's called the leg on the side there. And believe it or not, they call that 5/8 leg because it includes the top lip and the bottom lip when they measure it. But it's actually only gives you about a 1/4 inch overhang on the side of that camper, and you can see it there. Not much. So, of course, the shorter leg, the easier it is to bend. We don't have to bend any on this. We will have to 45 cut some up there. And what I'll do there is just pie cut right here in the side and bend it down on itself. But yeah, I just wanted to go over the trim we use. I get mine off of eBay. Vintage Technologies, a couple other places sell it. You can even get it on Amazon. It's actually only got about a 1/4 overhang on the wall, as you can see right there. So it doesn't give you much room to play. So you want to make sure your side trim that you, or your side wall coating that you put on, whether it's aluminum or filon or whatever, runs all the way up to that corner of that wall. I get mine, like I said, from eBay. The seller is Furniture Lady 10. I've used her for about 10 years. I consider her a good friend. She has always come through, even through COVID. She came through when I needed trim. And other parts. I get other stuff from her. I get my butyl tape from her, insert molding, all kinds of stuff from her. She's a camper seller, sells camper parts and stuff. You don't have to tell her I sent you. If you go there and you use her, I'd appreciate it. And treat her nice. She's a good person. I know this episode wasn't very exciting. You know, insulation, wiring, blah, blah, blah. I know, I get it. I promise you, if you stay tuned, the next ones will be better. I know we covered a little bit of trim molding on this one. You're going to see in the future when we put the side walls up and we pie cut the trim and get it all inserted with the butyl tape under it and the insert molding, the doors and windows in, the wheel wells on, and we roll this baby out in the sun, you're going to see a huge, huge contrast, and it's going to be really exciting. It's going to be neat looking. It's kind of like rolling out that finished hot rod when you're done with it and getting it first look in the sun, you know. Nothing like it. Stay tuned. The next build series we're going to do after this one is going to be a hot rod, a Mopar station wagon, and a teardrop to match that Mopar station wagon. It will have matching paint, matching wheels. We're going to do some body work to the Mopar, get some of the rust repair done, but we're not going to paint it. We're going to go with the current trend of leaving the patina the way it is. We're going to patina match the panels we do repair and put on, and then we're going to patina match the teardrop to match that wagon. It's going to be cool. So, like I said, the next build series will kind of entertain both sides of my channel, be it the automotive hot rod world or the teardrop world. I hope y'all stay tuned and enjoy that stuff. Give me a comment. I always love reading the comments, and I will get back to every one of them. I promise you guys. Thanks for responding to the color video. I appreciate it. It looks like red was the winner, like I said. I only left it up for a couple days, and it was red 8 and gray 3. I like both colors. I've done both colors on the builds. They both seem pretty popular. I know the gray is basically what we call primer with clear coat over it. And it's a new trend on some of the new vehicles. You see the Fords use it a lot. But it, you know, off-roaders like that gray too. It does blend into the wilderness a little bit, especially if you're a hunter or a hiker and you just kind of want to get away and get off grid and not be bothered by anybody. Then boom, there you go. Stay gray. You want to be known? Go red. Red is red. Hang tight. Thanks for watching, guys.